Okay, so that's a lecture that I gave last year at the University of Hong Kong. I gave a lecture on how to overcome emotional challenges, because the suicidal rate in Hong Kong among the students has increased. The parents or even the school board may not notice it. Many students, primary school, secondary school, universities, many of them suffer from at least minor depression. Some people suggest that I give a talk on how to overcome these emotional challenges with a view to, with the intention of reducing, some of the mistaken beliefs of some people who are with depression. So this is the lecture that I gave last year. And that's the first one I gave at University of Hong Kong in English too, because I usually give, when I'm in Hong Kong, I usually gave Cantonese lectures, and not even Putonghua, not even Mandarin, because Hong Kong is basically a Cantonese speaking community, not even Mandarin. Mandarin is the official Putonghua. So that's my first attempt, and of course I have friends going over there to listen, and I have some monks in here going back to listen, and I always get different comments from them, because I like to get comments on how to improve. And because earlier than this lecture, about 3-4 days ago, I gave a Cantonese lecture on the same topic in a major school, in a large school with many students. So I gave the same content in 2 languages, and I like to know which one is better. So I asked questions, and after the English Dharma talk at University of Hong Kong, a monk who listened to my lectures at the hall back there gave me a comment, and he said, "You're not performing that well today." Well, I said, "Wow," I scratched my head. "You're not performing that well. I expect you to be better, because when I was back there in Vancouver, you gave better talk than this. You're too nervous." Did I look nervous there? No, I really inside I looked nervous. I was quite nervous because that's the first time, that is the first university in Hong Kong. And among all this audience, there are professors in there. Professors from other universities, from educational universities, from polytechnical universities, and wow, I was trembling inside. So you may not realize it, when I gave the talk for the first 5 minutes, I was tongue-tied. I didn't know what to do. And then one monk said, from here, said, "You're not performing to the expectation. I can only give you a 7. Not even an 8. Well, he's an idealist. He's a perfectionist. So, but then later I received some comments from audience who went to 2 lectures, the Cantonese lectures and the English lectures. And a few ladies came up later, gave the comment that, "You were better in the English talk than the Cantonese." I didn't know why. He said, "You are more organized in the English talk." Well, I scratched my head. I said, yes, it could happen that way, because when I'm using my own mother language, I tend to roam about in every direction. I talk about the sun and the moon and the star, and give, I gave a lot of extra curriculum, talk. So I roam out of the topic. But when I was giving an English talk, I get so scared and nervous that I have to stay on track. And that's the reason why it looks more organized. So different people have different comments. And this year I'm going to give another lecture after that lecture there were 2 parties who liked the lectures and who came from Singapore, and he invited me to Singapore to give a talk this year. 4 lectures about more or less the same topic. So I'll be going to Singapore in sometime in June or in May. So just to give you some extra information, that's what we have been doing. For those who just listen for half an hour, what do you think? Do you think it is, well, I don't know. To some people, it may not be interesting at all. It's more or less philosophical and academic in the first 1 hour. And in the next hour, it will be more practical. It's a practice with theory. So any comments on what I talk about just now? Yes? How did they respond to my talk? Yeah. Well, I have a Q&A time in there. And as far as my glance when I was talking all over, I didn't find too many students. Most of them were professors and, administrators, some lawyers and all that. And I have an audience of about 300 people. And maybe I should have extended to the campus, because I didn't do too much promotion. So basically it's the professors and academic circles and surprisingly, I saw some senior management from stock exchange. So I don't know how the students respond, but then last year I went over to the education university, and a few professors there had a meeting with me, and he suggested I would give a lecture to some PhD students in education, because this will be students who went out to be teachers, talking about how to apply the Buddhist psychology to solve emotional problems. And I haven't done that. I haven't got time to do that. Maybe I should give lectures on that. Other than the Singapore, I'll be going to Polytechnic University in March, and another 科大叫做咩啊？英文科大記唔記得叫做咩啊？ I don't know. Another universities where I will be giving 2 lectures as a visiting lecturer about Buddhist psychology. So all these would be quite, to me, it would be, I talk about emotional challenges. I'm talking about my own challenges. I like to give our lectures to see how people respond. And I like to give more Cantonese ones because suicidal rate among students has increased because of depression. Kids suffer from this depression, which is quite obvious because in Hong Kong, the gap between the rich and poor is getting wider and wider. There are people with money and there are people who are poor. There are people who live in mansions, in mid-levels in the hills. And there are also people, family, who struggle into a small department of 200 square feet. I like to give out more lectures in Cantonese. And I think that would be beneficial to people who like to listen. And I still have to hold myself out as someone who like to give more information. And I think that the Buddhist teaching can help a lot because it is about how people think and how people interact and respond to externalities, and how actually you can use meditation or chanting. Meditation is consciousness therapy, a therapy that heals the consciousness, and chanting is about a therapy of chanting that heals your problems. A sound therapy. We all know that sound becomes a therapy, like ultrasound. So we have to. There's a lot that we can do to give back what we have learned. And plus, recently in Hong Kong, there have been rumors about fictitious monks who who are not who always like to hang out with profit motives and in making more money, and I should let them know that not all monks are like that. Some monks really want to practice Buddhist meditation and really want to promote it to benefit a lot of other people. Not all monks are fake monks and monks who hold them out as on a profit motive to sell the services of chanting and ceremonies. So I forgot your question. What did you say about students? I didn't interact with students. Maybe I should.
Whether they really understand something.
I think if I speak in my own mother language, I can make them understand. I have the confidence that I make them understand. But I haven't really started. I haven't really started to hold myself out as someone who can talk about this kind of topic to help out the primary school students and the secondary school students. And maybe this is something, this is a mission that I should do. To go to different schools to talk about, because in my mind, there are families, like not well-to-do families, then they have a few kids, and the mom and dad went out to work to make money, and they didn't have enough time for their own children, and you know, compared to rich families, you know, they have mentors, English mentors and French mentors. They have a lot of lessons to people to guide them. But there are just not well-to-do students who may not even have enough space at home to work with their homework. You know, those are the kind of students that we should help. So actually, if we want to do something, there's a lot that we can do. It depends on how much time we have and how strong our intention is. So it's meaningful. It's challenging. We haven't really started. We should do some more about it. All right? So, any more questions? Think about if you have any questions. Let me answer these written questions. I like to share my experience. When I was a student a long time ago, the professor in psychology said to the student that when the babies were born, they were pure, no personality. Now I know about consciousness, so the professor is wrong. I think the professor is not right. I don't know if it's wrong or not, because there were two sayings in ancient Chinese philosophers. Mencius, Mengzi, and Sunzi. There were three very famous Zi. Zi means the philosophers. Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu, it's the specialized in the book of changes. How world changes, flexibility. It's become a very world-famous book, the Book of Changes by Lao Tzu, the professor Lao Tzu. And there's another Mengzi, very famous philosopher, and he said, everybody was born with kindness. Everybody, a baby was born with kindness. And there's another Sun Tzu, who's just the opposite. He said, when they were born, they didn't have kindness. They already have a personality fixed in them. And then the Buddhist teaching does not agree with both, but it's more onto the side of when you were born with what? With the previous tainted karmic seeds in the life consciousness, you brought that to this life. That's the reason why when you were born, you already have an innate personality. Of course, there is another after-birth personality which you added up to. In other words, the seeds are already there, but based on what you experience later in life, you could have a mentor that is good, a family that is good who can educate you, or you may have an irresponsible father who ignores you. So that's accountable for what you suffer, the building up of another kind of personality. But you were born with karma. That's the reason why there were some kids who were born, and for example, a 3-year-old, 7-year-old, 6-year-old, they already were talented in some ways. I remember I watched on TV or on YouTube that there was a little girl who was at the age of 6 was able to sing like a professional singer. And there was a girl at the age of 6 or 7, she could sing jazz. And there were a boy who could play the piano of Mozart piano. What did they do? Did they learn? No. They played it from memory, from their own karma, which is hidden in them. They just played it from memory. They have never learned it before. So they brought this kind of talent with them to this life. So if they can bring talent to this life with that kind of talent, they could also have brought their previous personality with them. That's the reason why some babies cry more than others. There were babies who were more temperamental than others. There were babies who would always smile at birth. They never cry at night. And there were babies who cry all the time at night. So they're all different. When you were born, you're all different. You brought your karma with you. So you were not born with complete, like a piece of white paper with no stains on it. You were born with a personality already. So you have to either improve it or some more blemishes will be added on to it. Bad things will be added on to it. So I don't think your professor is right in saying that you have no personality and you were pure. No. You came to this life with your debt, D-E-B-T, with your energy. All right. So I don't know. I'm going to expound more on the alaya consciousness. The next session I will be talking about bija, which is the karmic seeds, and you will know how this was brought about into this life. All right. So I more or less answer these questions, and the Buddhist faith is not just about a religious belief. It's the building up of intelligence. It's building up of understanding. It's the building up of prajna. Prajna. Prajna, P-R-A-J-N-A. Prajna is a Sanskrit word. Pra means beyond, very high level, extreme top. Na, that means understanding. Prajna means a complete understanding of the highest intelligence level. And if you study the Buddhist philosophy, you will achieve that. You'll get to be more insightful in what you're doing. You would get an improvement in your present life because you can see things with insight. You're not the waves anymore. You're the wave that see through that you have to water. You're the wave that know that all these winds are blowing at you to make you a wave is something that you should avoid. You won't be affected by the wind of greediness. You won't be affected by the wind of jealousy, hatred, arrogance, depression. Which kind of life you want? A life that you understand yourself more, or a life that you just attach to all externalities with your emotions? That's the greatness of the Buddhist teaching, to help you how to think, not to help you how to worship. It's not idolizing, it's understanding.